that hive began being robbed out so bad. Robber bees were everywhere, all over this whole part of my buildings. I mean, it was just unbelievable. So what I did was, I want to follow up to my last video because I was working my hives and I noticed some things about the boxes that aren't going to pass for winter. And so today, this is kind of part 4.5, where I'm going to show you guys a couple of issues that I see with my hives. And I want you to go out and look at your hives and make sure that you don't see the same thing. And if you do, you need to correct it. I'm going to show you how to correct it. And I'm going to show you something that went wrong when I was trying to correct one of these things as well. So stay tuned for that. And I'll tell you how I corrected the problem that kind of started once I began to fix this hive. It was a bad situation. I really thought I was going to lose this hive entirely, but I kind of used all my skills that I had gathered up over the years and saved the hive. So it was pretty challenging, but we'll get into that in just a second. Hey, before we get started though, guys, I want to tell you, I've got 5 golden tickets that I need to give away. And it's kind of a unique opportunity. Listen closely, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. You've got to pay attention. But for 5 of you, I know I have a lot of viewers, and thank you for watching. I was only giving 5 of these golden tickets. But there is a convergence of content creators on YouTube that do beekeeping content that are converging in Ohio this weekend on Saturday. Now, don't try to figure out where we're at. It's a private meeting. It's a private gathering. We're going to be in hives, hanging out. A bunch of us as YouTube content creators and beekeeping are going to be together somewhere in Ohio all day Saturday. And I want you to be there, 5 of you. They won't let me invite any more because there's going to be too many YouTube content creators there, too many other people that'll be there already, but they have given me a chance to invite 5 of you. So if you can pay your own way, I'm not paying for anything. I don't want you to misunderstand me, but you need, if you're interested, then, and you're free on Saturday in Ohio, it's going to be kind of central Ohio. If you're interested in coming, you can hang out with me and other content creators on beekeeping and YouTube, and you can hang out with us, watch us do things, watch us film, watch us in hives, and got a bee or a yellow jacket after me, but you can join us, 5 of you. So that's my opportunity to invite you to hang out with me, just 5 of you. So think about it. If you're in, if you're in a position where you can afford to come to Ohio, and all you need to do is email this address right here, and my staff will pick 5 of you and get back with you with the information once we confirm that you're interested in that. Okay, so the date is Saturday, September the 16th, 2023. I know these videos stay on YouTube forever. Remember, you got to pay your own way, and but you can just be there from 9 o'clock in the morning till 3 in the afternoon to hang out with a bunch of us YouTube content creators that you probably watch all of us. So it'd be a fun time for all of us. So think about that and look forward to those of you that want to take advantage of this opportunity. I tried to get all of you invited, but they said, nope, can't do it. So couldn't pull that off. Now let's talk about these problems that we have in the hives in the fall. These are problems with the hive. Now, do you know the difference between a hive and a colony? A hive is the woodenware. Now I know we use that term interchangeably with, bees in a box, but technically a hive is the woodenware without any bees in it. The hive, you buy a hive and you buy bees and you put bees into a hive, and those bees are a colony of bees in a hive. And so what we're going to be looking at today is kind of part 4.5. We're going to be looking at how to take care of your equipment, how to fix it, remedy some things. You don't want to go into the winter with some problems I'm going to show you that I have that I got to fix. Let's jump out there. This super box right here, brand new, bought it already assembled from a well-known company. But look, all of these are built correctly. The gaps are where they should be, right? The grooves, the overlapping squares are lined up perfectly. But notice this top piece here, It's a little over 1/8 of an inch. The side panel is too tall for the front panel, and it makes a gap. And this gap, you can actually see bees walking around in there. For example, I can actually push this blade of grass in the groove. And so that's going to be a problem this winter right here. So in this, whoop, there's the bees. So in this case, this winter, I don't want snow and sleet and rain pounding into that groove. And so that's what you're looking for when you do an inspection to see how your hive may need to be shored up for winter. So in this case, I'll try to take it off and see if on the, maybe the saw, I could actually cut this and make it fit better. But if not, I may lose this super because it wasn't originally built by the manufacturer correctly. Also, I've got 2 supers on this hive, and I only want the super with 1. So it'll be this super, the unpainted one, that I'm going to remove, and I'm going to harvest these frames. We're going to look at it in just a minute to see what do you do when you want to take a super off and only overwinter with 1 super. How do you manage 2 deeps and 2 supers? Now, as you can see here, this old white super here has actually broken away. It's actually deteriorated at the top corner back here, and bees are back here working it. I'm putting a stick here to kind of move bees out of the way, and you can see they're trying to propolize it. And they may have gotten a pretty good start on it. It may be okay, but you know, what we're going to have to do here is get this ready for winter. This new super here is fine, but this old super got a lot of age on it, and that's either broken away from, you know, the use of the hive tool going in there time after time again, or just a bad piece of wood. But in either case, the best way for me to solve this today is I'm going to take this super here, the white one, take all 10 frames out, move them over to a new super, and put it back on the hive. Because this super here above it, it's filled with honey. This one probably has brood in it here, so I need to replace this. And so that's the way we're going to do it, is by taking the frames out, putting them over here. Because as you can see, this is a deep hive body here. This is part of the brood area as well, a deep and a super. And then the super above, that's where they're storing honey. And this is the Burns feeding system here. And then this is just an empty shell that goes around my jars that I'm feeding them. So in this case, what we have to do is take this super and lose it. Now, I have in a kind of a crunch taken some metal tape or Gorilla Tape and taped it up, but that's never really served me too well. It doesn't last very long. This super is just too old to be in the mix anymore. It needs to go. A lot of propolis. All right, half capped over at the top, not a lot down at the bottom. Not much at all, actually. It almost looks like they've dried out those bottom cells to get ready for the queen to lay in there. So it could be the queen might be up in the super. Have to keep an eye out on her. So this is what you do in the fall when you're doing this late summer fall inspection, trying to determine how to arrange some of these frames. Now that's not a horrible one to take through the winter. Those are some empty cells at the bottom, emergency swarm cells or whatever, nothing in them. But that's honey, capped honey there, and a little bit of bee bread surrounding it. Nectar on this side. Not the greatest frame to overwinter with. I'd rather it be capped over, but it's not bad. So we've got 20 frames to put in one deep, so we have 20 frames to put in one super. Ooh, this is that drone brood. It's drone size cell, and because it's foundationless, and that's how they drew that size out. Real lightweight, like it might have brood on it, so we have to look for the queen. But I'm not seeing any eggs or anything. Why, class? Because bees don't raise drone brood this late in the year. But you would think they'd fill it up with honey, but they haven't. This is much heavier, so we're proud of that one. That can be a good frame to overwinter with. This one's got bee bread toward the bottom, honey toward the top. Another heavy one, all capped over honey on that side, all capped on that side. The same on the next one because I can see it from here. As I look into the hive, I can see that it's capped over. So let's go ahead and take this first super off on the top so we can see what's in the second super below. Set that there for now while we look at the other super. This has a little bit of weight to it, like there's nectar in it. The side against the wall is completely empty, and the side away from the wall is completely capped over. Remember, we want to leave one super on for winter, but it's the box that we need to get rid of. So already I can tell that these frames are nicely capped over. From what I can see, it looks really good. See that? That one, the one next to it, same thing. Small hive beetle. I just want to kill that beetle so bad. Can't get it. Okay, I got that beetle. Kept over there. Man, I'm like a radar when it comes to small hive beetle. I see a beetle, I think kill. It's terrible, isn't it? Capped and capped. I mean, just all the way across. Capped and capped. Okay, so they're all capped over. My decision is to transfer these frames over to a different super that we can just, that'd be quicker for us than trying to transfer those and in and out. Now you can see here that I'm trying to move my frames over to a better box, a newer box, because the other one's chipped off and bees are, it's misaligned actually. It's not chipped, but it's misaligned, and bees are actually able to see the outdoors through that space there. So what I'm trying to do is swap boxes out. But you can see I'm having to work desperately fast here because the robbing has started, and I'm just trying as fast as I can to get this hive back together and stop the robbing. That's a much better fit. So now I have 2 deeps and a super. And all the frames are filled with honey. So now we need one more frame out of here filled with honey. And then we can harvest the remaining frames or freeze them for later, or even use them on another hive in the apiary. Need a little more room. Now what I couldn't show you, or actually I could have, but I panicked and I didn't have enough equipment, cameras and all to do it. But that hive began being robbed out so bad. Robber bees were everywhere, all over this whole part of my buildings. I mean, it was just unbelievable. So what I did was I actually took a entrance reducer and put it into the hive, put the hive back together, put an entrance reducer on, and then I plugged the hole on the entrance reducer. The robber bees continued to try to get into that hive that whole day. It was just the whole day long. But ironically enough, and I didn't think this was going to turn out this way, but the next day, it kind of cooled off that night. It might have even rained a little bit. But the next day, I had actually noticed that the bees were coming and going So what I did to close it off, I just jam-packed grass in that tiniest opening in my entrance reducer to hold my bees in there. I put grass in there because I know I'm forgetful. And I knew that if I forgot to take the grass out, guess who would do it? The bees inside would pull the grass out of the way after a few hours. And so sure enough, the next morning, the grass was out of the way and the bees were returning to normal foraging, bringing in pollen from goldenrod, no robber bees. And there hasn't been any robber bees since. I'm so thankful because I can't tell you, there were just thousands upon thousands of robber bees. And maybe you can kind of pick it up in the video that it's getting loud. It was getting louder and louder, and I had to panic and work fast. And the reason I didn't use a robber screen was there's too many bees at the front. I couldn't get enough space. You know, it's best to put a robber screen on at night when there's minimal bees at the entrance, and it gives them a moment to kind of learn the new exit and entrance. But I couldn't even do that in the middle of the day because there's just too many bees at the entrance. That's a good lesson to be taught here, that if you're trying to fix your equipment in the fall, late summer or fall, when there's a dearth, then be careful because sometimes you do have to keep it open longer. If you're taking frames out of a box that's broken and putting them in a new box, then a lot of bees that are scouting around for things are going to pick up the scent of honey, an open hive, and go right back to their hive instantly. And it's amazing how fast robber bees can take the area over instantly. I think I had thousands of bees on that hive within 10 minutes. Thousands and thousands of bees. It was crazy. So be careful, guys. Don't want your hive to get robbed out. Take precautions. I should have done it a little bit differently, but I didn't think it was going to be that way. But I should have known because, you know, robber bees are attacking my hummingbird feeders, anything that you put out there that has a hint of sweet sugar. They're on it, so be careful about that. Now, if you didn't see my last video, it is a winner on YouTube right now. I talked about, should you use wrap? Should you wrap for the winter? Talked about your bottom board. Should you use a screen bottom board or should you use a solid bottom board? I talked about your entrance. Do you leave it wide open, closed off entirely, open it just a little bit? I talked about so many things in preparing your hive for winter. And here's that video right here if you haven't seen it yet. I'll see you over there.